Hi, everyone. It's Henry DeVries from Agency Rainmaker TV. And this is the show where we help agency owners make it rain. Right fit clients. That's the pipelines we want. And we've got a pipeline expert with us, Tommy Schaff. Tommy, how are you today?
Living the dream. It's a nightmare. No, it's
Da
great.
bump. We share background in sales, marketing, and love of baseball. Tommy's company is Major League Sales. Tell us, who do you serve?
It's a great question. Who we serve mostly are rainmakers, coaches, consultants, and financial advisors. That's probably our creme de la creme that are not excited about their business anymore. I had a client who said, I want to get out of this business. And I said, why is that? I listened. I said, you don't want to get out of this business. You hate your clients. Change your clients, change your life. Now the guy makes 2 million bucks a year. So that's who we sell.
Pretty powerful. And what do you do for them, Tommy?
Yeah, we usually solve three problems, Henry. The first one is you got the wrong people, not enough of them. The second one is the average size case is too small because you're solving little problems instead of big ones. Big ones require bigger solutions most of the time, improves the average check. The third one that we solve is reducing conversion times, time to close sales cycles. So get in front, sell bigger, shorter sales cycle, add on a little gust of get more referrals.
Where's my I think we met through Tom Searcy, who I co-wrote the Warren Buffett book with, How to Close a Deal Like Warren Buffett. Um,
We did meet through him, but I had previously come across you two other times.
how's that?
Mark LeBlanc, I'm from Minneapolis, so
Okay.
Mark, and
Yep.
then my wife's friend, Kathy McAfee.
Oh,
She like sent her book, and I'm like, I know this guy.
I know this guy. It's a small world.
You
It's
have
a
to be nice
small
to
sales and
everyone.
marketing world.
Yep, that's right.
Hey, so let's get to how you make it rain. And I know you say there's no magic tricks, but you're very good at this, so we'd love to hear the truth. What's the truth about rainmaking, Tommy?
Well, I wrote down a quote that I'm probably as most proud of anything I've ever written recently. And I think what I've learned is that every great business starts with the decision of who you say no to. Like when you decide who you don't serve, that's when your life changes. The challenge is you don't have uniqueness forever. And there's a specialty for everything on the internet. When you try to do everything for everyone, you don't do much for very many people. But when you pick something very specific, I'll give you an example. I have a client in Fort Lauderdale that's a financial advisor. And in Fort Lauderdale, I think you are either retired for New York and Montreal, or you're a financial advisor. That's the binary. Or a doctor, or a doctor. That's
Yeah.
all. So this guy he's just another person working with the affluent from New York and Montreal, and specifically in Fort Lauderdale, large Jewish population. Okay. He gets referred to an elevator mechanic, a union elevator mechanic. Turns out that union elevator mechanics make over $300,000. And this guy has, 800, $900,000 in a 401k, and he has a pension. He meets with them, helps them, guy's thrilled. The guy sends him two other elevator mechanics, union. 2 weeks later, my client has three elevator mechanics. I say, why don't you create a niche for elevator mechanics? It's a year later. I think he has 54 elevator mechanics, but that's not the story. He has 110, last I heard, 110 appointments for the rest of the year scheduled with people that are retiring from being a union elevator mechanic. Now, do you know how many times he's lost a deal so far?
I'm going to guess
Bro,
zero.
he has not lost one yet. So I say, Mark Victor Hansen and a million people before him said, be rich in your niche. But a lot of them, it's not create a specialty practice. It's say no, figure out who you are. We're baseball guys. We do probably better with people. I created Major League Sales to go after people that had skyboxes, that had luxury boxes, because I figured you're doing that to get new clients, not to take care of your employees and your family. And then you remember the year that I did that, I called you up and said, hey, you want to go see a game at the first game that people can see? And then I got kidney stones and couldn't go. But that whole year got wiped out. And then the next year, people said, well, don't buy skyboxes, it's dead. And then the third year after that, there was a strike. So that kind of delayed that for me. But in the way I did financial advisors. And the second I started working with financial advisors, I got like 300 financial advisors in no time flat. And now it's led to me buying a software company. My whole life changed because at 55 years old or whatever, I finally said, maybe it makes more sense to work with less people instead of letting my intelligence and vanity say I can learn anything instead of scale what
Yeah,
I did for less people. Does that make any sense?
it makes total sense. When I decided to go in that direction, I called my dad, who's no longer with us, but I called my dad, and he was a Dutch dairy farmer and had harness horses and races horses. And I tried to explain, with my MBA, this strategy that I was, instead of having a couple of big clients, I was having these 20 clients. And he said, "Oh yeah, do you remember old Bill Weaver? The horse trainer who used to have that kind of model, and then a big horse farm in Kentucky hired him, and they gave him thoroughbreds. But every day the owner came out and bothered him, and then he turned to drink, and we've lost track of him. Nobody knows what happened." I think your idea of diversifying on these smaller accounts in one area is a good idea. So, yeah, I didn't have to teach my old Dutch dairy farmer father the wisdom of this. Um, but Tommy, it's so hard for people when I tell them this truth and they say, okay, Henry, I'll specialize in business to business. I said, oh, or women. I said, well, there's half the planet right there. That's half the businesses. This is not a specialization.
I'm going
Um,
to specialize in people that are retirement age. Fantastic. All people over. So that isn't like really a model. I was just on a call with the guy in Detroit. And I said, what do you specialize in? And he said, I work with retirement. I'm like, you and 5,000 advisors within 20 miles of your place. I said, which kind? Any of them? How many assets? All of them. I'm like, well, do you have very many people that come from the automotive? Some. How about from the tier one, tier two? Yeah, lots. Have you ever done uh, programs just for them? Nope. Don't want to say no to anyone. I'd be like, so what does he tell me? Yeah, my conversions are low and I'm not getting him to buy. And I'm like, and your cases are small? Exactly. And they take a lot of
yeah.
meetings. And I'm like, you have no social proof. So here's what makes my differentiation. I decided to study with a guy named Dr. Robert Cialdini. And Robert Cialdini is the godfather of persuasion and influence, great soul, turned 80 this year. And I had purchased his book in 84 with the purpose of using the principles to recruit people to my Sigma Chi fraternity when I was the Rush chairman. And I'd set some records, most, best, all that. And it just kind of followed me through. And I decided I got to go to a seminar. So it's about, I don't know, 1990. It's about 19. Oh, sorry. That's wrong time. 2019, 2018, I go to a public seminar. Not a salesperson in the room, not a sales trainer in the room, not a consultant in the room. They're academics. There are five people, four attractive women, one guy not so attractive. I'm like, I wonder who those people are. They don't seem to fit. That's because they were strippers. They ran adult entertainment facilities. And I'm like, there's not a sales consultant in this room, but there's four people running strip clubs. There are five, one guy, four gals. And I say to the guy, what's the deal? And he said, 3,000 shots of Grey Goose versus Rail vodka is $9,000 a night. And I'm like, you guys are here to learn how to sell rail vodka into, upsell? He goes, exactly. And I said, and that's profitable? He said, you have no idea. And then I licked my lips and said, I'm going to become Cialdini's expert on sales, and I'm going to do that. So for the next years, I did that. And now there are six of us in North America. I'm the guy that kind of focuses on sales. And this thing that you were talking about, like, well, how do I create a niche? I made it my practice because wealthy people, wealthy salespeople, successful salespeople making $2, $4, $10 million a year, they don't think they need sales training, but they are very interested in niche. Like, how would I create a niche? So my emphasis is we use niche by using social proof. Tell me your client that you love the most. I'll show you how to expand it to three with liking, reciprocity, gifting, unity. When I have three, I have the beginning of authority and social proof. I can create languaging. At languaging, I can market, albeit it won't be perfect, but I can start marketing to get it go from 3 to 10. At 10, I can now get, I have 10 people to offer to someone that has clients to say, here's some for you, give me one. Now I can get a centers of influence. At 30, at 30, I can get anyone to be my referral partner. At 30, as I grow up, 10 centers of influence, bell cows, I now have 100 clients. At 100 clients, I can speak as an authority, get invited to podcasts, write a book, be in people's books, and then I can take that 100 and make it 250, 1,000, whatever I want. And so now I have dentists, guys that work with dentists that have 300 or more dentists, or 300 or more doctors, or hundreds of elevator mechanics. And so that's the business. And then my sales training that I built on that, nobody wanted the sales training because it's tactical, but it's the systematic process that lets me institutionalize and scale the strategic principles of influence. And now I can bundle them together, and that's what makes me different. What we do now is the ideal client multiplier, niches for successful people, starting at 350, 500,000, something like that, depending on the industry.
Tommy, we're out of time. I want to have you back as a guest. You've got so much more to offer. Thank you for being with us today.
Good to
And
be here.
to everyone out there, think about your ideal client multiplier. Until next time, make it rain.
It's raining.